of tomorrow, the largest platform for entrepreneurs. I'm Sunanda Jaiseelan, joining you from Jaipur. We're doing 12 such events across the country, connecting face-to-face and directly with entrepreneurs like yourself and giving you the opportunity to speak and interact with India's biggest and sharpest minds. Today, we're talking about what it takes to make India's small businesses self-reliant. What do you need by way of government regulation, whether it's financing, whether it's just ease of doing business? All of that being tackled on today's show. Take a listen to some highlights of that panel. What are your member companies saying about fundraising? Has it become easier post-pandemic, and has it changed essentially?
Yeah, post-pandemic, if you see, government, it has been really very helpful for MSME specifically. I'm talking about MSME. Government, like in their Atmanirbhar scheme for MSME, they have given that credit guarantee of 3 lakh crores that has been increased to 4.5 lakh crores, and that credit guarantee, it has really helped the MSME at the time of need. But in actual sense, if you see, banks, they are not actually coming forward to help actually. Government scheme is there. For that scheme, government guarantee, so you can get money from there. But if you go directly to the bank and ask them, they are not very much willing to lend the money easily.
How should a small business adapt in this world which is becoming increasingly online? What is your suggestion?
See, for small businesses, if you say, they also have to go with the technology, and they have to adapt to the latest technology, and they have to be aware of that. And without that, in a longer run, things they won't be able to like survive. Even in case of manufacturing, we have recently seen a lot of changes. Like in small units also, we are seeing that the traveling costs, they have really decreased. Because you don't need to just go and travel, you can just do it online. So that is one of the major benefits you could get from this. And besides that, small businesses, if you see in the manufacturing process also, by doing the automation, overall if you see the cost of production, it has come down, and overall the small business, they have become more competitive in this environment.
I want to take some closing comments as well. One is opportunities and challenges for entrepreneurs who are based in Jaipur, who are based in, say, tier 2 towns across the country. First, I want to talk, and this was a point that you made very briefly when we started the panel. I want to talk logistics. For a small business which is based here, how do you scale? Because that really is the next level when it comes to your growth. Is it easy? Is it difficult? What is your advice for someone who's in the audience today and for our viewers about scaling when you are based, not necessarily, say, in Mumbai, Delhi, etc.? Open to all three of you. Do you want to first take this, sir?
See, in case of logistics also, like Rajasthan, it is now getting the dedicated freight corridor, and plus the railway, this railway line is also going through Rajasthan, and so the difference, the logistic disadvantage of Rajasthan is now over, because now, whether you are for exports, you are near the port or you are away, you are like in Jaipur, it is almost not going to make much of a difference, because from the dedicated freight corridor, you can straight away take your material to Mundra port or Bombay port, and from there you can ship. So that disadvantage from Rajasthan, like, it is now almost over.
Okay.
So, coming to, sir touched upon the manufacturing part, but to the service part, if you're based out of city, a tier 2 city, or say example Jaipur, one, you get good quality of life, so I think your efficiency improves on the intangible part, but on the tangible one, we have good connectivity, air connectivity and rail connectivity in all tier 2 cities these days, and the flight connections are such that you go to in the morning and come back in the evening. Post pandemic, it has even become better because you are doing virtual meetings. So I mean, the cost overheads are very, very low, and I think you're more efficient working in a tier 2 city. The skill cost is low, the hiring staff cost is low. So everything boils down to money at the end of the day. And as a startup, if you're light on your credit or on your money part, I think it keeps you faster to pivot, repivot, and experiment. So I think tier 2 has that big advantage. Challenge are also there, but I think this after pandemic, because we've seen a lot of big companies moving their offices to tier 2, the people have moved back to tier 2 for the quality of life, for their health, and given priority to that. Business has not suffered. So I think tier 2 has that advantage. Of course, the reach or the immediate access of metro is missing. You can't just reach the office physically in say half an hour or 1 hour call. But otherwise, I think tier 2 serves all the purposes.
Okay. One thing that I want to discuss with you, Rajendra, is pricing of products and ticket sizes, really. And we were discussing this briefly offline. Are you able to charge as much for your products if you were, say, in a startup hub like, say, a Mumbai or a Bangalore versus being based here in a Jaipur? Is that perhaps impacting your ability to scale?
I think today, like, people are moving to tier 2 cities to start something new, because again the cost of everything is very low here. First of all, your office cost, even your employee cost that's also lower. So when you talk about the unit economy, you can bring that positive sooner in the tier 2 cities. One is, let's say you have some product and your margin is like, your operation cost is around 5% in Bangalore or Delhi. So that's here like 2-3% only. And that's the biggest advantage. And for IT companies also, like for startups, IT companies, before what used to happen, that if you want to hire good engineers, you have to go to Bangalore. Today what happening, even US company also hired a software developer from some of the village. So people are from last 2 years, we have seen, even we also like have our relative, many people are sitting at the village level and working for these big MNCs also. So now things has been changed, even the cost of, even let's say if Jaipur also, now these are big cities now. Like before, what used to happen, that you have some product you develop in Bangalore and first 10,000 customer you got in Bangalore only. So now cities like Jaipur, Indore, Guwahati, all these cities also have a customer base who also use the technology and who adopting your own solutions here only. So you are like building solution here locally only, and you can also become profitable here only. Let's say situations like lockdown, let's say there's a fixed cost of around 2-3 lakh rupees here in Jaipur, you can manage that, but when it will be for a month in Bangalore or Mumbai, it's very hard to manage in those kind of situations. That's why we have seen most of the businesses in tier 2 and 3 cities survived, but most of the small businesses in big cities are unable to survive in these situations.
Okay, then let me take closing comments. Your advice for entrepreneurs here joining us in the audience and watching about how they can become more self-reliant. I want your advice for them. What do you want to leave them with?
See, for my advice, I'll mainly give my advice for the financial part of it. Getting funds again and again from the banks, it has become really difficult. So it is mainly finance conservative.
I would say we are sitting on a world of opportunity, specifically globally, because after this pandemic, India's stature in world eyes has changed. So yes, be conservative. See the waste in your processes, manage those waste, cut your cost, and deliver best-in-class quality. There is a huge market. We don't even know. We are not even touching the drop of the ocean right now. So even if you make a spoon today, there is probably 8 billion, if we might be 8 billion by the time you make the spoon, so 8 billion is the market. And they will not buy from any other country. I mean, the largest manufacturer has got some big issues to solve, so India has a big role to play. Yeah.
So I think we every day start getting the ideas ki this is the, when we see news that this person has built this in last 2 years journey. So my advice to everyone, they start building for like maybe for people around you, because there is immense opportunities. People are coming from the people who were in the US for let's say 15 years. They are coming to India and building for here because they have seen for next 15, 20 years now it will be a time for India, and more than that for tier 2, 3, 4 cities. So I think we are sitting at the right place, and we need to start building as soon as possible. That's my advice. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking the time. A round of applause for our panelists this evening. Thank you for joining us here. I'm going to slip into a short break on that note, but we're going to continue on the Leaders of Tomorrow Town Hall, focus on what it takes to make India's small businesses self-reliant, back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow Town Hall. In tonight's episode, we're talking about what it takes to make India's small businesses Atmanirbhar. So every Tuesday on the Leaders of Tomorrow, we do a segment that we call Wealth First, because we are putting you, the entrepreneur, first when it comes to managing your wealth. And towards that effort, we have experts who join us both on the show and at our town halls to discuss personal finance, how you should manage your money and what you should be doing when it comes to managing your money. Could I request our expert, Ashish Modani, he's the founder of SLA Finserv, to please join us on stage. And a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Ashish. From your experience, how do businessmen, how do entrepreneurs, how do business people really handle their finances? What has your experience been?
See, I've been discussing a lot with businessmen, and one thing that people have to understand, businessmen to understand, that their personal balance sheet and their business balance sheet are two different things. In the quest of making more and more profits and fighting with the world, the competitive world, we continue to pump our personal set of money, which we possibly require for our own old age or maybe our own kids or for some personal needs that we have. We just do not differentiate between personal and professional life, and we keep on putting the money more and more into the businesses. And at one point in time, when people generally that is in the 40s and the 50s, they find it really difficult how to take money out of business. Because the business is like kind of andha kuwa, so you continue to pump whatever amount of money, it's never endless. So at some point you need to put a break, or you have to say, okay, this is my balance sheet, this is not I'm going to put in my business back, and this is what I need it. And see, the pandemic times have told that the world, are we talking of startup here? So there are so many disruptive startups which are already coming. So I don't know whether my business would be viable next 10 years or not. So at the same time, not only that I must get into business, I must also know how to get out of business also. Many times what I find that, the businessmen become like Abhimanyu, so they know how to get into the Chakravyuh. They just don't know how to get out, and they just die there. So what's the fun of, living a life where you're just working for the world and not for yourself? Yeah.
Absolutely. So for someone who's, like you're saying in the 40s, 50s, don't know how to extract your money which has gone into the business, how do you suggest they do it? If someone's here in the audience saying, how do they do that?
Yeah, see, how anyone probably can save is just how does salaried guy save. I think so the same lesson goes even to businessmen also. One has to take money out of business regularly, as you take money out of business for maybe your vacation, for buying your car, or maybe your household stuff. You take money out of business probably every month. Similarly, you have your long-term financial goals, so you got to be taking money out of the business every month, for maybe for your kids' higher education, for your retirement. I think one of the big thing that businessmen think that I would not retire. No, you will be forced to retire by either by competition, or by your physical or by your mental challenges, all those things. So you have to have save for yourself, and that essentially is that you have to have a monthly budget to save, and that's the easiest thing to do. Yeah.
And so when you're saying monthly, you're basically saying as a businessman, pay yourself a salary.
Yeah, you must pay yourself. That's the point. You must pay yourself on a regular basis. Else, otherwise, there will not be one day where you will think, oh, I will be able to take money out of business. No, that one day will never come up.
Since we are in a post-pandemic world,
Yeah.
I want to talk about risk mitigation for a business.
Right.
A lot of businesses have faced, business failures, not making as much money as you were previously, etc. How should a business person approach managing their money, keeping in mind risk? What should they be doing? What is the contingency plan you should have in
Yeah.
place?
So I think so, when I said having a separate balance sheet itself is one, that I must have some money for myself. So, the moment there was a pandemic, the first round of lockdown, all that we could hear was salary cuts by entrepreneurs, सरकार को बिजली माफ करनी चाहिए, ये माफ करना चाहिए, and all that. I'm like, I was just wondering, even after working 15, 20 years, an entrepreneur does not even have 2 months to fund themselves. That's quite strange, right? Because they are always starving of money. So they must have something called an emergency fund. That itself, you must, as I said, you must have, that money is not supposed to be kept in business, right? So that's something that you must have at least 6 to 8 months of your money should be kept in an emergency fund. That money should be not used in business. At the same time, on a personal finance side, since you're living in a nuclear family kind of thing, you must ensure that if you are not around, you got to have a proper risk management tool in terms of having a proper insurances, both in terms of health, life, and disability kind of thing. These generally are ignored by people. Then why do I need it? I think so. And there are certain mathematics, maybe 10 times of your income you should be insured with your term insurance or your medical health insurance. I'm sure pandemic has taught us, but today also we are considering health insurance just as an kind of luxury. I think so it's a must have for everyone. In fact, I would urge all the business owners that you must even guide and motivate your employees to have a proper, because if you are not going to guide them, they probably would not know where to really and they would then fall on you for their emergency problem. I think so as an entrepreneur, you must take care of your employees too and guide them as well.
Okay. Since you were talking about insurance and encouraging everyone around you to also have insurance, it's becoming more imperative that perhaps your family, perhaps someone who's really close to you also knows the financial details, must know
Yeah.
financial details.
Yeah.
How do you go about doing that? Do you sort of put together an Excel sheet with all the passwords, with the investments? How do you suggest you do that?
So I think so we need to understand the social setup that we are into. Earlier we used to live in a very big joint family. If one of the members also passes away, I'm like, there was quite a stability in the family. There are 4 or 5 brothers living together, their entire family and all. So there was not. Today we are living in a very nuclear family. So today I'm like, in a society where I live in, I know a couple actually passed away, and the kids, they were just 9 and 10 years kind of kid. So and how people supposed to know? There are people, there are husbands who have passed away, and so what is so the wife and even the parents do not know. Bank account, locker, passwords, all those are not known. So I think so what is important nowadays that we have to sit as a family, discuss, rather than taking a self decision. Okay, most of the time even spouse, at times they don't take, involved in that. I think so it is important that as a bread earner, I must involve my family, tell them, participate, at least make them aware, and that's a small little progress that one has to make in, even making sure that you are enlightening and you're involving your entire family.
Great. One last question then
Yeah.
to you. For entrepreneurs here today, maybe one mistake, if I can call it that you perhaps have made in your own investment journey, in your own wealth journey, that you've learned from,
Yeah.
and you want to leave our audience with?
See, I think so they start very late on the personal side. They really start very late. The 20s and the 30s, they are totally in their business. They're like totally dived into business. Similarly, some amount of your money should be kept out of your businesses. That some amount every month. Just this is my money. As I probably is repeating for the sake of repeating, don't complicate. The worst that you can do is get that aspect also. And P, I'll tell you, when I talk simple terms, people think, isse kya hoga? I think the simplicity works a great deal over long run. And whether you talk in your own operations, that you talk of, that Abhinav is talking of cost cutting, this, that. I think so. It's all what he's trying to say was simplicity. Probably that knowledge of, or rather that experience of simplicity only comes after making hell lot of a mistake. And by that time, you have lost that compounding. So understand there's only one thing that makes lots of money, it's called compounding. And compounding will only happen when you do right set of things at early stage of your life.
Keep it simple, start early.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us here on the panel. A round of applause
Thank you so much.
for our personal finance expert.
Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any questions for us, do let us know. Our contact details coming up on your screens as we speak. For tonight, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching.